This video is on how to change a battery in a Porsche 958 Cayenne diesel UK spec car. So the battery is under the passenger seat, which will be the driver's seat if you're unfortunate enough to drive on the wrong side of the road. Start by pushing the passenger seat all the way forward, which will give you access to the mounting points at the rear. The seat is held in place by 4 Torx bolts, which can be found under the plastic covers on the seat rails. I undid these bolts with a Torx V10 bit in a 10mm ratchet spanner. Here you see the tools I used, the bolts and the 2 plastic covers. Pushing the seat all the way back will expose 2 more plastic covers under which you will find another set of Torx bolts. These are removed in a more conventional way using the ratchet. With the seat free and resting on its back, we now can gain access to the wiring panel, which will be underneath it. Under the flap you will find 3 connectors: power, switching and airbags. You will carefully need to cut the cable tie. The power and switch connectors can be removed simply by pushing the tabs on either end together and pulling backwards. The yellow connector is the airbag. To remove, push the end of the black section down and pull. With the cables removed, you should now be able to remove the seat. All I did was lift it up onto the back seat so it's out of the way. Next, remove the Torx T25 screw holding the air duct down. You don't need to remove the plastic air duct, but with the screw out you can now start removing the carpet. To lift the carpet round the seal, I pulled the rubber trim back and then prised the plastic sections up. This allowed the carpet to come free and fold back on itself out of the way. The carpet on the transmission tunnel just pulls out. You should now see the plastic battery cover, which is secured in place by 4 metal clips. These clips spring back when you push on the rear section of them as shown. You may also need to use a screwdriver to prise depending on how strong your thumbs are. To remove the cover, simply pull it towards the transmission tunnel. With the cover out of the way, you can now see the battery. We will start by removing the earth terminal with the 10mm ring spanner. With the earth removed, you can now move on to the positive. Both cables can clip out of the way to give you free access to the battery itself. There are 2 retaining brackets holding the battery in place. Starting with the one nearest the earth terminal, using a 10mm ratchet, undo and remove the bracket and bolt. The center bracket is removed in exactly the same way and is shown here. Next, we want to remove the battery breather, which is the concertina tube you can see at the back of the picture. Here we see the old and the new batteries, with the new battery having the breather tube attached to it. Now you can put the new battery in place and connect the 2 terminals up, starting with positive before the negative. With the battery reconnected, I use my scanning tool to enter the codes and program it. You don't necessarily need to do this. The story is that it will reduce the battery life, but I don't know whether that's true or not. Reassembly is the opposite of the disassembly. A few pointers are, first off, you can remove the tab of the cable tie that you cut earlier for the switches. I found the easiest way to get this clip holding the battery cover on the left hand side was prising it from a screwdriver underneath, as you can see in this picture. Once you've plugged the seat electrics back in again, you can put a new cable tie in place. Putting the seat mounting back in was quite a fiddly job. I found it easier to start with the rear nearest the side of the car first and then loosely putting in all of them before tightening them all down. Push the plastic clips back in place, and here are the only tools I used. The cable tie and program are obviously missing. I did toy with the idea of using a battery saver when I was doing this process, but I didn't like the idea. But I found that when I did connect the battery up, all the radio stations and all the settings were still as they were,